Hello, in today's demonstration, I'm going to continue where I left off last week. We were using old crappy paintings to generate new compositions, and I thought I want to do this on a smaller scale, like mini studies, and I'm hoping I'm going to wind up with 4. So these are paintings on Bristol paper. You got a couple ways you could go about this. I could grid it and just kind of randomly cut and see what I get and build smaller compositions on top. I'm thinking of these as they're little studies, thumbnail sketches. I'm going to take a different approach. So I chopped up some file folders and I'm going to do 2 different studies. These are supposed to be poppy bulbs, which are happening in my front yard right now. I really love the shape. So I've already traced and cut this out. I'm going to do a second study, and somebody was doing bottles last week. So just really simple shapes. Okay, I'll get back to that one. So I already cut this one out like a Matisse cutout. Then I'm going to use this as kind of a viewfinder, and I'm going to go around and see if I land on an area that appeals to me, that I like the color scheme going on, kind of like the stripes happening there. So I'm going to pick out an area of interest, and then I'm going to trace. I'm using a charcoal pencil. You could use regular pencil. I'm going to trace the outside, and then I'm going to trace these inside shapes. So these are they're kind of mini Matisses on top of my Brayer Rothko study that I did a few weeks ago. If you didn't want to get this fussy, well, hang on, I'm not going to cut this out, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, so there we go there. All right, now I'm going to cut this shape out. And this is going to be a mini compositional study. Let me find another one. Okay, I'm going to do 2 of these, and then I'll do some on the blue paper below. So I've got my background base color, and then what I'll be exploring on top is adding another color and seeing how it reacts with that colored background. Okay, so I got those 2 right there. Let me just go ahead and get my bottle one going. I'm going to keep this one really simple. And it doesn't have to be recognizable object. You could just pick shapes that are appealing. Okay, here's my Matisse viewfinder. So that just landed on that, which I quite like. Okay, so there's one there. You do one other one. So this is great to play with and explore ideas if you don't have the energy to invest in a larger painting, and you can use these little studies as cards if you want, or something to be expanded upon in a larger work. Okay, so these are going to be my 4 studies right here. I think I'll start with this one, and I'm going to try and apply some, I'll start with this one, transparency, and I'm going to go sort of with a complementary turquoise. And I'm debating, do I do high flow? Or I think I'm going to go with the acrylic ink. It's going to be a little bit more transparent. Added a little bit of water, and I'm going to keep the poppies as solid, and I'm going to paint the negative surrounding background shapes using a angled brush. I thought it was going to be more transparent. I'm going to add a little bit more water. So down here, there's more density. I don't see as much of that background pattern. I can use a rag, and yeah, okay, good. I can pull some of that out if I want, manipulate the paint a little bit. So I'm playing with transparency here. This is so dark. I want to add more water. I want to keep some white there, but I want this to be a very light transparent blue for contrast. So these studies can be used to explore different types of paint, different thicknesses and qualities of paint. Okay, so there's idea number 1. I'm not sure how I feel about that color interaction with the background orange, so I think I'm going to try something different on this one. And I'm going to go more opaque on the poppy bulbs. And I'm going to keep this in the more muted range. This sort of a, I don't know what this is. It's called tanned, but it doesn't look very tanned. Okay, so now I'm going to keep this in a more neutral, narrower neutral range on that background. That might not be enough contrast. So these are the things you're playing with, color interaction with these small studies. I'm going to go with a lighter pink. See what I get. That I actually kind of like. Okay, so that's another thicker paint, another kind of color study. There's definitely more I could add to that, but I'm playing with colors and paint quality. Okay. There's another thing, another approach is now I cut out what I've traced. And I'm going to combine it with a different painted background. So I look at these studies as they're kind of idea generators. So there's a background, not so sure. What if I put it over the warm background? What if I take this? I think I like that better. Okay. So combining paintings. Some of you were doing this last week. Taking your cutouts, putting it on either a solid colored background or another painting. I quite like that one. Certainly was easier than the first two. Okay. So using your stencils to make all these different combinations. So I could put that right on top there. What also happened was now I've got two bottles there. So maybe I'm going to go with that. And I still have these negatives that I can put on different backgrounds. So it's kind of endless. Here's another combo. That's kind of cool. Don't like that one as much. Maybe that one, kind of like. All right. So then I would glue these down. Maybe I'll put a wash. Either I'm going to put a wash in that bottle in shadow. Yeah, I think I'm going to try that. I want it to be really, really light because I want some of this paint showing through. I want to use the underpainting to my advantage. I'm going to add a lot of water here. Again, I can wipe things out if I want more of those colors showing through. Then I put these two together in some sort of an arrangement. I'm going to put this on a white background so you can see the start of all my studies. So there's one. So I like these studies because it allows for play and randomness, and then you get a bit of a series with all of these different shapes that you've cut out. Some of them you'll end up doing more work on, like right now, not as into the poppies. I'm more into just the simplicity of these bottles on these backgrounds. And I could see doing a whole, like many more versions of it. So there we go for mixed media, sort of abstract compositional studies.